I started my angel investing journey about 4 to 5 years ago. In a way, I was thrown into the deep end of the pool because I was invited to a show called The World. It's a show which is very similar to Shark Tank, which most people know of. So you invest in companies directly. Until then, I had not done much in angel investing because when I sold my company to Dentsu, I was not allowed to angel invest. Very interestingly, I learned my angel investing 101 on the show. I still remember sitting next to Anupam Mittal and like tagging him and saying like, listen, what is the tag along, what is the drag along? And he's saying, we're live on national television, what kind of questions are you asking me right now? But the fact of the matter is, I think you learn because what happens is when you're sitting on the show, you feel it's monopoly money. It's when the episode gets over, you realize that you've really committed real money to these companies. But I think what I did was I loved the whole process of angel investing because you suddenly came to know so many things about so many new industries. It not only helped me become a better digital marketing consultant, but also allowed me to understand different industries at a very conceptual level and what entrepreneurs thought about the industry from a future point of view and what kind of businesses they were building. I've talked to a lot of angel investors. Angel investing is not the best asset class to make money. We know of a lot of examples where somebody invested $100,000, 1 crore rupees in some company and it became worth 1,000 crores. That is not the norm of angel investing. So there is a very interesting book that I read in the early days, Angel Investing by David Rose. The book was very interesting because what it did was it said that you cannot do angel investing if you invest in 1 or 2 companies. You have to invest in about 20, 30, 40, 50 companies over the next 2-3 year period, 5-year period. And then the CAGR that you get combined from this 50 portfolio of companies, that is what will give you the ROI you deserve. If you make 1 or 2 investments, it's like buying a lottery ticket. You may win the lottery, but the chances of winning a lottery ticket is almost remote. So the way I look at it is that I've had 25 investments now, and I'm hoping that this 25 becomes 50 and become 100. And some of them, including Celebrity School, become unicorn companies. So now I will share with you my philosophy of how I do angel investing. So different people have different strategies of angel investing. I'll tell you what my strategy is. So one of the things that I do is that there are certain individuals who I know, who I really, really trust. And I trust their judgment, I trust their knowledge, and I trust their abilities to find the right companies to invest in. One of them is Anupam Mittal. Another is a person called Nigel Morris from UK. One of my other friends is Vijay Sharma. When they invest in companies, they are very, very particular about the kind of companies they invest in, the kind of entrepreneurs they invest in. So one of my other strategies for angel investing, I have coined the term, I call it the roulette table strategy. So now just imagine, right, there is a roulette table, and basically a roulette table generally has something like 37 odd slots. So when you put some money, you can get 37 times the money that you invest in. But what happens is certain industries, I'm so confident they're going to become huge. One of them is the whole creator economy in the influencer space. I believe that influencer space is going to become 10x of advertising. So imagine if advertising is $700 billion, then this can become a $7 trillion industry. Because influencer commerce is going to be about selling goods and taking a share of that sale. So what I did was I found that, okay, there is a company in Estonia, there is a company in UK, there are 7-8 companies in India. What if I invest in all of them? Because there are only 7-8 companies, right? The roulette table, when you arrive at the casino, just really has 7-8 slots. So now what happens is, the company that I'm most confident of, my budgets are 75 lakhs, so I'll put in 75 lakhs in that company. Some other company, 50 lakhs, then 20 lakhs. And then what I do is, I put in 10 lakh rupees in all the companies. That means it doesn't matter which one succeeds. Even the company that I'm least confident of, it succeeds, then I will get 3.7 crore rupees for the 3 lakh rupee investment. So when I total all this up, these investments only 1.5 crores. So what happens is that I've invested 1.5 crores. Worst case scenario, I'll get 3.5 lakhs. But if this one strikes it big, then I make a lot more money. The other thing about roulette strategy is that if you're really confident with the industry could be autonomous vehicles, they could be 3D printing, it could be blockchain. If you're really confident with the industry, even the second player and third player does not become zero. In roulette table, if you bet on 37 and 45 comes in, you get 0. Here, that doesn't happen. What happens is second and third will also give you some ROI. So the way I look at it is, if you are from a certain industry, you really understand the industry, and you've done your exponential technology calculations and you feel the industry is going to become 100x the size, then what you do is you double down on an industry, and like I've made 9 investments in the influencer creator space. So what happens is that I'm hoping that the best bet that I have becomes 37 times, but even the worst bet will give me 37 times because the industry is going to grow and a rising tide lifts all boats. So there is a hopefully I'm going to make money on at least some of them. That's the way I look at, this is my roulette table strategy for investing. The other strategy I have for angel investing is that I think they say they refund a person or a team and not the business model of the company. Because you have a fantastic team, then even if the business model goes wrong, which most likely it will, they will pivot and do something valuable. So I've always bet on teams rather than the business model of the company. And then I do very early stage investing, so I put in 25 lakhs to 75 lakhs in companies and take a 5-10% stake in that company. So what it does for me is, these are consequential decisions for me, because that's a lot of money for me and I have a substantial stake in the company. It's not 0.1% stake in the company. So because I have that 5-10% stake in the company, I can work with the entrepreneurs and work towards making them a unicorn. The process of investing itself is extremely enjoyable to me. So, one of the angel investors, Harish Behel, I spoke to him, and he said that the best way to learn about any industry is to put in some money in that industry. Because once I invested in an MRI company or a lithium-ion battery manufacturing software company, what happened was, every time I would read a newspaper, I would read anything, suddenly these news articles with that industry will pop into my mind and I would read them. So what happened was, I know a lot more about imaging than I ever did before. I know a lot about lithium-ion batteries and their software and BMS software than I did before. I know a lot more about creator space and creator economy influencers than I knew before. So what happens is that the best way to learn something, if you can afford it, is angel investing. Because the more and more investments you make, the more and more you learn about those industries. Now, I think there is no easy answer to how do you angel invest. But my recommendation to everybody is, it's an asset class that you must explore. What happened in California 20 years ago, what happened in China 10 years ago, is expected to happen in India in the next 10 years. There are going to be hundreds of unicorns going to be created. There are going to be thousands and probably more of $100 million companies going to be created. If you can be a part of them, it'll be awesome. You also have a lot of platforms by which you can invest very little amounts. So only recommendation that I have is that suppose your budget is 1 crore rupees over a 5-year period. It's only 20 lakhs a year. Then there are platforms like Mumbai Angels or Let's Venture where you can invest as much as 1-2 lakh rupees in a company. So what I would recommend is invest in 10 to 15 companies every year for 5 years, even if it's 1 lakh rupee amounts, 2 lakh rupee amounts. The total will come to less than 1 crore over a 5-year period. It's 20 lakhs a year, but you will have a portfolio of 50, 70 companies by the end of 5 years. If you have a portfolio of 50, 70 companies, getting a ROAS or getting a return, an ROI of 30, 40% CAGR, which is 3 times, 5 times of any other asset class, would be possible. But important is 50 companies. If you take 50 lakhs and put it into one company, that's not angel investing. Angel investing is taking the same 50 lakhs and putting it in 10 companies, but doing it every year for the next 5 years. That's the way you start your journey on angel investing. I hope you found some value in what I said. So I think the way I look at it, you don't actually hire a person from IIM Ahmedabad or IIT Bombay because they passed out of IIM Ahmedabad. You hire them because they got in. So what happens is that you cannot actually interview a person as a founder or as an employee with the intensity that an IIM Ahmedabad interviews them. They do a CAT exam, then they do a group discussion, they do so much of, it takes so much of effort that you get 10,000 applications and one person gets in. So what happens is that kind of diligence to select a person is impossible for a company or an Indian investor to do. So what happens is that if somebody has done that, in this case IIM Ahmedabad has done it, then I can sort of leverage that learning of that individual, because he got into IIM Ahmedabad, he must be smart. So I think so many times a lot of people look at it from a point of view, okay, why is companies preferring a Harvard graduate or an IIM Ahmedabad guy? It's because the company or IIM Ahmedabad as an institution has spent so much time in selecting that one individual to get in, that companies or angel investors like me don't have to spend that same time evaluating the individual. But if you today ask me, so many times the things that you're learning in these institutions is not the future. You're learning about the past. Let's look at a very simple, Harvard just published something that they have completed 100 years of case study method last week. The challenge is, what is a case study? Case study is a company was not doing well, then the company did something, they succeeded. And now what happens is that case study is published. Now we all have heard of this term called the history is written by the victorious. So when I talk about myself, I say, you know what, I started a company 20 years ago, I had the vision for digital, and I sold my company to Dentsu and I made a lot of money. But the fact of the matter is, nobody knows that 20 years ago I was clueless of what I wanted to do. Nobody knows to hear the stories of struggle, which I couldn't solve the problems. I lost out on big opportunities in social media or content creation, and people created 100 times bigger companies than me during the same period. Because I am the person who's a victorious person, I'm writing the history. So I'm going to write it with my lens. The problem with case studies is it's written by companies that succeeded. It's written with their lens. You actually don't know what exactly happened in that company. So learning from that is actually less use. Second thing is, the problem that company faced, there are so many moving parts that over the last 10, 15 years, everything in the world has changed. So you are never going to face the same problem with that many moving parts. So you actually do not know how to solve that problem. So the way I look at it is that a lot of institutions, unfortunately so, are teaching you things how things used to be. They're not teaching you things how things are going to be. I angel invest with an IIM Ahmedabad guy, not because he passed out from there. I invest in him because he got in. But I've come across so many hundreds of individuals today. I've invested in 25 of them. Hardly few of them are IIT Bombay or IIM Ahmedabad kind of people. Most of them are people who are first-time entrepreneurs, because I come in very early stage. I just see the passion, I see the vision, I see the business model, I see that ambition of creating a multi-billion-dollar company. That's good enough for me, because I'm anyway in that journey with the entrepreneur, trying to create some value for both of us. So more than IIM Ahmedabad or IIT Bombay, I actually have a soft corner for failed entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurship teaches you most important life lessons, and it teaches you what you made, what you did wrong. So even more than successful entrepreneurs, actually failed entrepreneurs are good entrepreneurs to bet on. Because I know there's a very thin line in success and failure of an enterprise. I'll give you my own example. In 2008, we had almost signed a deal with Dentsu, and then because of Lehman Brothers, they walked out on us. I had to raise capital again. There was a person called Dev Raman. He got a list of individuals together and they funded us. We were weeks away from making our final payments to Google. If Google had not given us additional credit line and we had not got this monies in time, my company would have closed down. So I was weeks away from failure. And if I had failed, I still would have learned my life lessons in 10 years of entrepreneurship. So I think failed entrepreneurs are another people who, when I do angel investing, if a person has failed at a venture, I'm actually have a soft corner and probably I'll fund him.